All right, here we go. This is part 2 of a 2-part series of how to get country strong. So we are on to the second video series. So if you haven't watched the first one, go back to the first video series. Justin is showing us some movements on how to improve that motor. So he's got the sled now. He's going to show us a different way to use the sled to increase your work capacity. Check this out. So the first sled push that Justin's going to do, you're going to see he drops his chest into it. He retracts his shoulders. So he's in close. Think of this like driving if you were a lineman in football, driving the player back. As he takes his strides too, they're nice, big, long strides. This is not a speed thing, so we're not working on speed and agility. This is grinding strength. We're working on work capacity, so it's different. Notice his tempo isn't super fast. The second movement, very similar to the first one. The only difference now is Justin's gonna be in a locked out position. Now, for the average person who's just trying to increase work capacity or someone who just wants to push a sled to burn some extra calories, the difference of bringing your chest in close or your arms locked out, not that much of a difference. But if you're someone who's a football player or you're an athlete, both of these have their place. Or an MMA fighter where sometimes you're gonna have your arms extended where you're trying to keep other athletes away from you. Sometimes you're gonna be in close to you. So both serve their purpose. Same thing goes for the last one. Justin's now gonna take it from a different angle. Now we are gonna get a little bit different recruitment here because we're much lower as we drive. So this is really gonna engage those glutes and quads as he starts to drive. Notice Justin's back is nice and level. His glutes are engaged, his core is tight. He doesn't have a big rounded back as he's pushing it. And if Justin has any of his breath left after the work, those 3. So those are your 3 movements for increasing work capacity for pushing.
Right.
And then we're also gonna do 3 pulling or a single pulling.
3 pulling, okay? First one, we're just gonna drag it straight back.
So now we're gonna get a little bit more posterior chain. So we're gonna get the back a little bit more. Justin's driving off his heels, just like a leg extension. He's extending his legs, extension at his knee to get his quads engaged. Glutes are engaged a little bit. That back is having to hold, keep the strap nice and tight. He's keeping his core tight. He's not letting that upper back round as he starts to pull either.
And we're gonna get into sled row.
It's just like a karaoke side pull here. So Justin's gonna go obviously both directions here. He's working on the lateral movement. Everybody does, a lot of athletes train in just the sagittal plane, so we wanna make sure that we get stuff in the frontal and transverse plane. So here Justin's gonna face forward, but he's gonna hold the strap to his side. You wanna keep it in a tight position though. Once he gets a hold of the strap, he's not yanking on it and pulling on it, he's in a locked, fixed position, and then he's just gonna step over with his foot. Just your basic karaoke, driving off the heel on the outside of your foot. And the final one will be a row. Key to this is keeping a good tight core as your low back will want to round and fold when you do this. Justin's bracing really well. He gets down in the squatted position, uses a little bit of momentum and drive with his legs to pull up and row just like a seated row like you would do on a cable machine, only you're pulling the sled. So not only are we gonna get some of his legs involved, his glutes involved, but his upper back involved as he pulls and rows. Beautiful. I think we just increased your work capacity right there in less than 5 minutes. So when you're pushing the sled like you were just pushing the sled, you know, when you're doing, you have one where you have an extended, you have one that's really close, and you have one that's lower. Do you typically do all 3 of those in a workout, or would you separate those? Like, where's the logic behind that?
So depending on, like you had kind of alluded to some of the specific types of positions. If there's something we're working on, let's say for football where we're inside close and we're working on breaking off tackles, or if I'm a guard and I'm working on drop block or something that's really close quarters, you know, some of the training might be cool to reflect that. So I'll have them come in a little bit close like that to work on their grinding ability and strength in that movement.
And then what would you call the karaoke side pulls? Is there a name for the sled pull?
Yeah, just a lateral sled drag. I mean, for the most part, that's what I call it.
I know it's not a karaoke. That's what came to mind right away.
Yeah.
Because your footwork is like a karaoke.
It's like karaoke, right? Because it just gets a little choppy and clunky when I try and choppy step. That way I get a nice, more of a fluid movement without by carrying it and dragging the sled a little bit
Well, not
further.
only that, but then you're getting some of the hip rotation.
And exactly, getting rotation. So we're addressing the multiplanar, what we want to focus on with that exercise as well.
Which arguably is probably one of the most important. So out of all the exercises, if I'm an athlete, for sure, I'm not leaving out the sled drag from the side.
And there's a lot of different things you'll see with people using the sled, like different hand positions. They'll get really creative where they're pushing and they're emphasizing one side specifically. But for me, the most part, those ones that I showed you, it's pretty much the meat and potatoes of what I would even use.
Right.
Everything else is just fancy footsteps and whatnot. So
awesome. So if you guys are looking to get country strong, there's some movements for you. Make sure you guys apply those into your workouts. If you guys like these videos, make sure you subscribe, comment below. We drop a new video every single day.
I'm going to work on my capacity.